welcome to E&I UK and Europe edition. I'm Ashley Spirity reporting from London. We bring you news reports from the United Kingdom and Europe. And we have live reporters on standby ready to give their report. For our headlines. 50-year-old UAE to pour billions into the UK. Marks & Spencer to close more than half of its stores in France. And we go to our live reporters. First, we have Arabelle Celestino. Hello, Arabelle. What will you be reporting for us today?
Hi, Ashley. And yes, today I will be reporting about the last UK cassette shop situated in Manchester. Back to you, Ashley.
Thank you, Arabelle. Then we go to EBC Germany, where Irene Juliet Arzadon will take us sightseeing around Salzburg, Austria. Then we have EBC Switzerland, where Trina Joyce Asugal will take us on a boat ride on Lake Bryans. And for our sports news, we have our sports correspondent, Ryan Florentino. Hello, Ryan, what will you be reporting for us today?
Ashley, we have a recap on last week's tennis with 18-year-old Briton Emma Raducanu becoming the new US Open champion, beating Canadian Leylah Fernandez in New York City. More on that later. Ashley?
Thank you, Ryan. And of course, our view from our window, which will be coming from London. The United Arab Emirates will invest billions into the UK under a strategic partnership marking 50 years since its founding after British rule, both governments announced Thursday. A 5-year investment worth £10 billion will focus on technology, infrastructure, and climate-focused energy transition, according to a joint statement. It was announced following talks in London between Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Abu Dhabi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed, the UAE's de facto ruler. The pair inspected a British Army Honour Guard as the energy-rich UAE builds up to the December celebration of its founding in 1971, after Britain had relinquished control over its constituent emirates. Mubadala Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund said its investment plans would drive a significant increase across the 3 target sectors, building on an existing deal. In March, Mubadala committed an initial £800 million to UK life sciences, including healthcare research over 5 years. The new investment is a boost to Johnson government's vows to boost trade with the rest of the world, including the Middle East, after Britain left the European Union fully in January. UK-UAE trade was worth £18.6 billion in 2019, and two-way investment came to £13.4 billion, according to British government data. In the run-up to Britain hosting the COP26 summit in November, the new partnership, energy giant BP collaborating with the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company and renewables firm Masdar in climate-focused investments. Those potentially include low-carbon hybrid hubs and the creation of a carbon-neutral air. On Thursday, British food to clothing retailer Marks & Spencer's announced its plans to close more than half of its stores in France. 11 out of its 20 franchise stores will close over the coming months. Paul Friston, managing director of the British company's international arm, said, M&S has a long history of serving customers in France, and this is not a decision we or our partner SFH have taken lightly. However, as things stand today, the supply chain complexities in place following the UK's exit from the European Union now make it near impossible for us to serve fresh and chilled products to customers to the high standards that they expect. The closure concerns all 11 franchise stores with partner SFH in France and will affect around 100 jobs. 9 franchise stores with partner Lagardère Travel Retail will remain open across airports and train stations. Time for a break, but please come back for more E&I UK and Europe edition.
Ang kalamansi, tinaguriang golden lime. Bukod sa kulay nito, bakit nga ba malaginto ang kahalagahan nito?
Sa pagkakalamansi kasi ang kita rito is talagang income generating siya. Ito para kang may ATM eh. Every 15 days may nakukuha kang pera. Ang pinakatrabaho mo lang dito, magpatubig, mag-fertilize. Yun lang. Parang sitting pretty ka lang.
Yan ang kalamansi. Hindi lang kilala sa vitamin C. Sikat din sa larangan ng pangkabuhayan at agri.
Kami-kami lang po muna yung gumawa. Hihiwa ng kalamansi, nagpipiga, nagluluto.
Nung nag-start ako magkaroon ng sabon, nagulat ako dun sa volume ng orders. Na po, nagtuloy-tuloy na siya hanggang sa napakarami na namin resellers. Umabot na po ng 1,100 na po yung members.
From 20 boxes po, naging 50 boxes a day na.
200 plus lang yung pinag-umpisahan naming sabon. Hanggang sa na-maintain na namin yung 10,000 pieces monthly, ma'am.
Ako po si Robin Padilla at ito po ang unlad. Kaagapay sa hanap buhay.
It's time to take one step further and face the impossible. Time to search the unknown and fight for the truth. Time to overcome boundaries and connect the world. It's time for DW News.
Welcome back to Unai UK and Europe edition. I'm Ashley Espiritu with interesting stories from around the UK and Europe this week. In Manchester, we can find the last shop in Britain that is dedicated to selling cassettes. With the details, we have Arabelle Celestina with us today. Hello, Arabelle.
Hi, and yes, tucked away in a corner of the top floor of an indoor market in Manchester, northwest of England, is the last shop in Britain dedicated to selling cassettes. Mars Tapes crams around 1,000 cassettes, a Coca-Cola radio, boom boxes, vintage editions of Walkman cassette players, and other tape-related accessories in compact retail units smaller than one of the city's tram carriages. The shop was set up in 2019 by an eclectic group of people united by the love of music, explained co-founder Giorgio Barbone. Spanish sound engineer Borja Regueira, 28, and his girlfriend Moira Lorenzo, 27, initially proposed starting a cassette-only shop player. Italian Carbone, 30, and 28-year-old journalist and musician Alex Tedros supported the idea and merged the store into the group's records label. The shop is tapping into a nostalgic trend and cultural consumption accentuated by the coronavirus pandemic. People have turned to reading books and watching classic films and television series to stave off boredom and find escapism during lockdowns. Giorgio Carbone, co-owner of Mars Tapes, mentioned his thoughts about cassettes. Let's listen in.
Well, there's more and more young people getting into the cassette culture, which is great. Again, because artists nowadays, they've been releasing on tape again. Recently, we've been saying like Lady Gaga is released on tape, and it was very popular release. There's something good about the cassettes. There is like it's very portable and easy to carry after you go to a gig and you want to buy something of a band and as a merch. And it's cheaper to buy than a vinyl.
Sales of vinyl, the pocket-sized plastic cassette's predecessor in music distribution, jumped to their highest levels since the 1990s in Britain last year. Also, modern artists such as Lady Gaga, Dua Lipa, and Selena Gomez have released tapes recently, pushing cassette sales in Britain up to around 157,000 in 2020. The highest figure since 2003. But the boom in cassette consumption is not confined to an older generation seeking to relive their youth. Young listeners also increasingly prefer to savor music rather than mindlessly skipping through online playlists and endlessly scrolling through social media. There's a lot of work behind a cassette. It's something we lost with time to appreciate what we have and listen to something more than once and not just skip it, said Giorgio Carbone. Also, Ashley, Carbone acknowledged it seemed crazy to occupy a bigger unit after the UK's 2021 winter lockdown and the economic damage it brought. But grants from Manchester's council and rent holidays helped Mars tapes survive. He thinks cassettes will remain a niche interest, but reckons demand will remain steady. There's something about the sound of cassettes that's just different, he said. Back to you, Ashley.
Thank you, Arabelle, for that. Can I ask, can you give me some information about the history of cassettes and their prices?
Well, Ashley, the mass production of cassettes began in the 1960s with 2.4 million tapes players produced and sold worldwide by 86 different manufacturers by 1968. But their UK heyday ended with the explosion of CD sales in the 1980s and 1990s, leaving some music fans pining for a bygone era. And well, in terms of the price, most tapes cost no more than £10, which is $14 or 12 euros, with prices rising to £50 for limited edition products. Carbone explained that cassettes are cheaper and easier to produce than vinyl, and Mars Tapes limits its runs depending on the genre and band to keep costs down. And also, the store acquires stock from websites like eBay, individual donations, and record labels, including Universal. While Carbone, Tadros, and Regueira's record label supports local indie bands by purchasing their tapes. Back to you, Ashley.
Thank you, Arabelle, for bringing us that report. We hope to see you again.
Thank you so much for having me today. Reporting from London, United Kingdom, I am Arabelle Celestino, and we live in interesting times.
We now go to Austria for a tour around Salzburg. Irene Juliet Arzadon takes us there. Here's her report.
Welcome to Salzburg, Austria, a UNESCO heritage site since 1997. I am Irene Juliet Arsalan, and I'm really excited what this city has to offer. Let's go! Salzburg, also called the city of Mozart, has an area of 65 square kilometers with around 155 inhabitants and is not the capital of Austria. Through the middle of the city flows the river Salzach. From there, you have a view to the landmark, the fortress, which is located in Old Town Salzburg. With the so-called Fortress Railway, you reach the top the fastest, so let's enjoy the view over the city. Once you arrive back, you reach the famous Getreidegasse, the most famous historical alley, and also the birthplace of the famous composer Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. If you are looking for a snack, I can recommend a huge pretzel. To get to the new town, you cross one of the bridges because on the other side there is the beautiful Mirabell Garden and the Mirabell Palace. Looking for a souvenir, you should not forget the famous chocolate Mozart balls. A beautiful city that is worth a short trip. From Dortmund, I am Irene Gild Arsadon for ABC Bureau Germany, and we live in interesting times.
Thank you for that wonderful tour of Salzburg, Irene. So we go time for a break now, but please come back for more E&I, UK and Europe edition.
Yung pong mister ko po yung taga-kumpas po namin. Siya po yung taga-gawa po ng nota, ng tugtog. Siya po yung nagtitrain sa mga bata. Tapos po, yung mga anak ko po yung tumutugtog, kasama po nung, sa drum and light. Tapos ako naman po yung pinaka-overall. Sa akin po yung costume, sa akin po yung paano po sa training, sa akin po yung discipline, sa akin po, anak ko na po silang lahat. Kung 100 po sila, 100 po silang anak ko.
Umiikot yung mundo namin na magkakasama pa rin kami kahit may pasok sila dahil ako yung nagtuturo sa kanila sa drum and lyre. Sila naman yung mga member. Dati nga, ang hinihiling lang namin, lahat ng tinuturuan namin, makaranas lang ng champion, okay na kami. Pinagbigyan naman na nag-champion kami.
Yung una po, parang ayoko po. Tapos, nung tumagal-tagal na po, yun na po, nagustuhan ko na po. 6 or 5 po ako nag-umpisa na mag-drum and lyre.
Ito yung banding namin na laging tumutugtog, practice.
Talaga pong, kumbaga i-transcend the blood.
Pero sa isang iglap, nagbago ang tono ng kanilang buhay.
Hindi ko po talaga sukat akalain. Nung pong unang-unang na sinabi po sa akin ng doktor, tapos iyak po ako ng iyak.
Sabi ko nga po sa kanila, sana ako na lang eh. Siyempre, kuya po eh. Sana ako na lang yung tinamaan. Kaso sabi ng bata, kaya niya, huwag lang daw kami iiyak.
One, two, three, go!
Welcome back to E&I UK and Europe edition. I'm Ashley Spiritu with interesting stories in the UK and Europe this week. Switzerland is a country full of beautiful lakes. Let's take a boat to enjoy the views of Lake Bryans. Here's a report by Trina Joyce Asugao. Let's watch.
The turquoise-toned Lake Bryans is located in the Bernese Oberland. The lake is 14 kilometers in length, 2.8 kilometers in width, and 260 meters in depth. To maximize your experience, you can ride the boat from Interlaken Oost to Bryns, but we would like to share our experience from Istelveld to Interlaken. Istelveld is a village around Lake Bryns. You can buy your ticket online or at the ticket booth near the boat terminal. You can also buy the one-day pass for 35 Swiss francs, and if you have your Swiss pass, it's free. The boat has two classes, the normal class and the first class. The first class consists of a restaurant located on the second floor and the sun deck on the third floor. You can also sit down in the front or at the back of the boat. Normal class passengers on the ground floor can also enjoy the view with some snacks or drinks from the restaurant. Feel free to walk around or just relax on your seat to enjoy the view. And just like that, you already reached your destination. I hope you enjoyed watching our boat trip on Lake Bryns. I highly recommend it for your next visit here in Switzerland. I'm Gina Josasuga, EBC correspondent in Switzerland. We live in interesting times.
And now on to our sports news. 18-year-old Briton Emma Raducanu becomes the new US Open champion. Ryan Florentino has the story. Hello, Ryan.
Ashley, and yes, you are correct. The new US Open champion, Emma Raducanu, said she is hungry to improve her tennis and plans to continue competing this year after her stunning success at Flushing Meadows Park. The 18-year-old Briton became the first qualifier in history to win a Grand Slam when she defeated 19-year-old Canadian Leylah Fernandez 6-4 and 6-3 at Arthur Ashe Stadium last Saturday. Raducanu became Britain's first Grand Slam champion in women's singles since Virginia Wade in 1977 and did not drop a single set during her run to the title in New York. The new world number 23 shot to fame at Wimbledon earlier this year, reaching the fourth round in her first Grand Slam, and intends to have a short rest after a whirlwind 2 months. Fernandez was rewarded for her passage to the finals with a rise of 45 places to 28th, and former world number one Naomi Osaka, who Fernandez beat on the way to the final, and has said she is taking a break from tennis as she drops to 5th place. I have a few days rest and recovery and I think needed after the last 7 weeks, Raducanu told America's CNBC on Tuesday. But I am straight back to training and hungry to get better and come back out to play some more tournaments. Raducanu could receive a wildcard to the WTA's prestigious Indian Wells tournament in California next month. Her stunning victory in New York has brought some newfound fame, and she has attracted praise from Queen Elizabeth II and UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, and also appeared at New York's Met Gala fashion show last week. Warm congratulations to Emma and the best of luck to her. And that should be about all for our sports report this week. Back to you, Ashley.
Thank you, Ryan, for your sports report.
Thank you, Ashley. And it's always a pleasure. And I am Ryan Florentino, reporting from the United Kingdom, and we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Ryan. In today's view from our window, we go to the Shard in London. The view from the Shard lets you look out and marvel over the incredible skyline and sprawling city of London from the viewing platforms on the topmost floors. From this view, you can see many famous landmarks of London, such as the Tower Bridge, twists and turns of the River Thames, Buckingham Palace, Shakespeare's Globe Theatre, and St. Paul's Cathedral. The Shard is a 72-story skyscraper, which currently stands as the tallest building in the United Kingdom and the 7th tallest building in Europe. The completion of the structure was achieved in 2012 and its viewing deck opened to the public a year later. The Shard was designed by Italian architect Renzo Piano, and which is now considered as one of the city's most iconic landmarks. This view is courtesy of Patricia Rodriguez. Thank you for this great view, Patricia. That's it for today's program. Stay safe and keep positive as we bring you more news stories next week from the UK and Europe. I'm Ashley Espiritu, and we live in interesting times.